Good afternoon from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. It's 1:42 p.m. on Saturday. I had to think what day it was. Saturday, the 11th of April, 2026. And it's a glorious day, and I've just finally sat down. I've been busy. I got up. I didn't have a lot of sleep last night, only really about 4 hours solid sleep. I had to take a Valium to settle my nervous system down because I worked so hard on various projects yesterday and then got upset about Optus sending me a very smug, nasty kind of email saying they're putting my charges up and they're already exorbitant. And so I upset myself over that, and then I got a letter from Ethicon, which was the class action that I was involved in with the TVT tape, saying that I wasn't eligible for any further compensation. So then I got rather upset about that, but in the end I decided, I went to war about it this morning on Facebook, as I do every day. I go to war about something, but I actually decided during the night, didn't expect that I was going to get anything extra, because they really are verminous and they really have sold all of us women out. And this was major part of the reason why when COVID came along, I just said, no, you're not putting any more poisons or foreign substances into me. You've done enough damage to my body, mind and spirit, and I simply won't comply. And of course that's made me in many ways a target for standing up and having the courage to say, no, hell no, I won't go. And I'm upset about that too, because it was the only sensible, logical, humanistic decision to make, was to choose my own body autonomy. And as a survivor of child sexual abuse, I'm well accustomed to what happens when your body autonomy gets overridden and taken control of, even at a very young, vulnerable age. And there was no human being able, willing, or decent enough to actually actively protect you. So it's made me a very difficult customer indeed, that I've realised, even as a very young child, that I simply wasn't safe with other human beings. I wasn't safe in New Zealand. I wasn't safe growing up in Australia for the 3.5 years I lived here as a child. And I came back here to Brisbane in 1988, thinking that I'd have a better life here with a warmer climate, and very quickly found out I wasn't safe and was othered within a very short space of time from the moment I joined my Reformed Jewish congregation. So it's been befoulment, layered upon befoulment, layered upon befoulments, not just in my religious circles, but right across the board, medically, dentally, spiritually, philosophically, financially, physically, all my fucking life. And quite frankly, I'm a bit bloody livid about it, because it's enough already. It really is enough. Drinking some lovely ginger beer, and I've thought ahead and bought a big bottle of water as well. It's 30 degrees today on the 11th of April, day before my birthday, and it's scathing hot, which is actually unusual April weather when it starts cooling down. So we're enjoying, this is I think the 4th day in a row that we have the most glorious sunshine and blue skies and happiness. And I've just heard the crows, and today is the first day that did I take some painkillers this morning? I think I did take some during the night because I had a very bad night, but this is the first day that I've managed to go without pain relief, and it's still quite tender, along my jaw and into the bone, all along the cheek line and all along here, but the top one that was really giving off all sorts of distress signals seems to have calmed down a bit, and now it's just where the dry socket is and along the jaw. And of course I'm going out tomorrow with Robin and Peter. The last time I went out with them I had a massive big fucking cold sore, and this time I've broken out in all these very strange pimples all around my chin. But I think it's because I'm detoxing from the naproxen and the Panadol. My body just went chucked it all out through my skin. So yeah, I'm not having much fun really with looking glamorous and beautiful right now, but you know, my hair's alright. It's washing out some of that brown, and now it's I don't know, you can still see the blonde foils underneath, but that's okay, it'll grow out, and everything will go back to its natural rhythm. I've got a nice streak of grey there, so I can see what I'm going to look like when my hair's all grey, which is okay. It was part of the plan. I'm not in a position to throw money on extravagances anymore. I'm still very much considering selling my car. I almost considered calling my mechanic, who did offer to buy at one stage, and saying, how much will you give me for my car? But you know, that was a year and a half ago now. It's due for a service. I need to take it to him. But anyway, I thought I won't make any sudden or rash decisions while I'm in recovery from major dental surgeries, because that was a bit rock and fucking roll, and I went through all these old traumas, emotions. I went through suicidal ideation. I went through it all. So hopefully I'm coming out the other side of that, and then there's one more tooth to go, and that'll set me off again, won't it? But in the meantime, it's a beautiful, beautiful day, and we are going to live as the spirits promised me, although sometimes their timing is out, or they're talking about the afterlife. We're going to live our tutto bellissimo life. I don't know why my guides come to me and speak Italian. I don't have any Italian ancestry as far as I know. But anyway, maybe I'm meant to go to Italy one day. If I live long enough, if I can acquire enough money. Oh, you have to laugh. It's really quite tragic. But anyway, the crows are not tragic. The crows are talking, eating the corn, and when I arrived to sit out here, one's still behind me, one of them went, and I went, hello. We looked at each other, and they knew that I put the food out, so they're very contented. And my birdie boys are very contented too. They're really loving the lovely weather we're having being out. And I worked on, I'll show you what I made. I'll just go and get it. I worked on from the moment I got up this morning. I only just finished. I thought I'd read you a story as well. I've actually worked very hard for a woman who's in so much physical with the teeth and emotional pain. But anyway, I made this to glue on the back of my grimoire, and I made a little possum, but I'm upset with myself because I've already put Protector Clear to stop it from tarnishing, and I should have waited and given the little possum face some patina. Maybe patinaed the branch and the leaves as well. And this one is still wet. I've just put Protector Clear on it. Can you see it? Anyway, the progress reports are all on Instagram. If you want to go on my Instagram, you don't need to. I've just showed you anyway. But I worked on that all morning, and I had to glue the owl down because 3 times it fell off. Couldn't solder it because it was just a very thin outline, and it's repoussé, and there was nothing to actually solder the metal down to the copper base. Don't really want to be breathing those fumes in, by the way. So I glued it down, and then this morning I made the little flower. Let's get it in the sunlight so you can see. Nothing like being able to see, people of Earth. I made the little flower in sterling silver out of a little dome I had, and I cut it into shape with these very handy drill bits that I bought specially, which I did actually buy with my bit of compensation that they did initially give me. So, you know, I'm not totally ungrateful. It's come in handy. All my money goes into silversmithing tools, really, or keeping the car going, or, you know, what have you. But anyway, I made that little flower, and then I put patina on the whole thing, and went into sunlight there. It's all come up very, very nice. I'm very happy with it. So yes, I should have done the same with this one, yet I didn't think about it. I was just busily yesterday making that little possum face, which melted off, so I had to cut back, you know, features. And anywho, that's what the Mamati has been doing, and they're little tiny little things, but they represent 3, 4, 5 days worth of work, for which I don't get paid, apart from my disability pension, of course. So anyway, look, honestly, I think he's quite cute. I decided I wanted a possum because I have a possum that used to come here regularly and use the possum box, but it wasn't stable where I had it up on the tree, and for some reason the possum stopped coming. So I thought that'll look cute on my wooden grimoire. My wooden grimoire, my little birdie boys. Ooh, shouldn't have put my finger on that, should I? Just put this back because it's gross, sticky, and you don't want poisons on it. Now listen, Mr. Crow, don't get into my stuff, alright? Got your own stuff. And the other thing I did while I was patinaing the little copper owl and flower and branch was I got 2 of my rings out and I gave them a bit of a patina with LOS and ammonia. But I wanted it to be more blue. It darkened up too quickly. I'm having trouble with them darkening up. But anyway, in the sunlight, sort of, kind of, you can still see the shade, very faint shade of blue. And I did soak them in bicarb soda water, but I don't know, they just still kept developing. But this one you can see the blue. But it's a antique Pan American spoon from 1901, and I bought it because I wanted Pan, the god of joy and frivolity and fertility and fecundity and mischief and mayhem and sweetness and childlike wonder. And underneath is a Native American chief, which I'm also very fond of, Native American culture. And then it goes to, you can't see it very clearly, but it's a Statue of Liberty. and then it goes to Niagara Falls. But I'm thinking, I made this a long time ago now, about 4 or 5 years ago, of cutting it apart and making 2 separate rings, one with Pan and the Chief, and then I guess Niagara Falls just on its own. But anyway, so that was my morning, very busy and creative, almost bordering on mania, quite frankly. Not that I have bipolar, but I'm a bit manic, hypomanic, because worked myself into a frenzy making all those lovely things, and on painkillers and in pain, and push myself. So now my nervous system is flying everywhere. Can you tell? Yes, I'm sure you can. It's all right. I'm not crazy. I'm just complex PTSD survivor, and when I overwork and overachieve, I crash and burn, and this is quite normal for me, quite classic. It's why I can't hold down jobs, because the crash means I can sometimes be out for the count for days on end. Anyway, so far I'm improving as I get older. Who knows, maybe one day I might be able to get a part-time job or a full-time job, or can't even imagine being able to do that, but it's a fantasy in my head, because I really do need more money coming in. Let's be real here. It's driven by fear of starvation and abject poverty. Anyway, making that lovely little copper branch with the little owl and the little flower on it, I realised, I thought, I don't need to glue that on my grimoire, which is what I made it for. I could turn it into a lovely brooch, or even drill a hole in it and wear it as a pendant. And I was sorely tempted for a moment, and then I thought, no, the plan was to glue it on that grimoire and have all the magical sweet little things on it. I can always make another one, but I'd have to buy, because that little owl was actually a bought charm that I had kicking about for years, left over, probably still from my mother's market stock, and there was only one. So it wasn't, I think I'd wanted initially to make a pair of earrings out of it, but there was only one owl. So I'll keep my eye out with one of the wholesalers that I still occasionally, on rare occasions, buy from, because they might have some more of those little charms, and they come in handy for soldering or gluing on art projects. And the sterling silver, really meant to be worn as jewellery, but that one came in really handy. I just was looking at that little bow that I made, and I thought an owl would be perfect for it, and I had remembered I had one in my stash. So that's kind of my birthday present to myself. I made all by hand, and very proud of myself. And I also bought today, someone put the idea up, I think it was either on the Women's Metalsmith Collective or on the Potters group, the Kevin Potter group. I haven't been able to buy any of his dies or things, because I can't afford the hydraulic press, and the dies are all quite expensive, but I'm a member of his group, and people give, ideas and hints on how to, make things better. Anyway, one of those groups I was on gave the brilliant idea of using an vintage cribbage board, which is what my dad and I used to play a lot when I was a young teenager. When I visited him here in Brisbane in 1981 when I was 16. I was here for a month. We played a lot of cribbage. So that's one pleasant memory I have of my father. I don't have a lot of happy memories, but that's one that's not associated with deep pain and ghastly horror. So I thought, oh, you know what? The person had posted that they used the old cribbage board. They had to drill the holes a bit bigger to fit some of the drill bits, but for storing all the little different drill bits and diamond heads. And I thought, what a brilliant idea, and that way it's all there on your desk and just ready to grab it whenever you want it, rather than having to go hunting in all your drawers. So my other birthday present to myself was I bought a vintage wooden cribbage board. I didn't end up buying the really colourful one that looks like a snake. Maybe I'll buy one like that later on. I bought one that's all inlaid and looks more like a chess set with black, white checkers and all the little holes drilled. I really thought that'll look lovely. Really lovely. So, and it wasn't very expensive. So I'm very, very happy today about my new acquisitions. Some I made and one that I've purchased. Anyway, here we go. That's enough waffling on for today. And let us continue reading Red Rose, White Rose. And I should be able to knock this one out of the park today, finish the story, and see how we go. It's still quite a long one, but we'll see how we go. If not, it'll be another video. And yes, I didn't come back to read to you yesterday because I was obsessively working on those little copper bows and trying to solder things on. I had a lot of trouble getting that piece to solder, so I glued it, as I said. And then I had a fair bit of trouble getting the little possum to solder down, and partially melted and lost all its features. But eventually it worked. So I haven't been practicing soldering with my Smith little torch, so I was struggling to get just the right temperature. And then I had another little flower bead. I don't think it was sterling silver, or I don't know what happened. It was tiny. Anyway, I melted that, so that was another loss. And that's when I got the idea. I thought, I've got that little domed piece already that I'd already made into a dome. I knew I had a little one. So I'll get that and I'll turn that into a flower. One way to skin a cat. A lot more bloody work, might have you, but you know, it's that was the rest of my afternoon was involved in soldering that down, which I was really pleased that it actually soldered down without melting. And then yes, this morning I cut the shape of the flower in and made it lovely. And when that protector clear coating has cured, I'll glue a little crystal bead or something in the centre of the flower, just so that it looks more like a, you know, something a bit shiny coming out of the flower. So I'm happy and I'm distraught all at the same time, and I'm managing all my emotions and living my tutability, my life, one day at a time. Sweet Moses. One sweet day at a time. Let's have some water now. I haven't been to buy groceries. And I've spent half of the money that I had left on my cribbage board, but I get paid on Tuesday, so I have to go on Tuesday and buy groceries because I'm running low, very low. And so I'm a bit upset about that, but I've got plenty of eggs and flour so I can make pancakes to eat for the next 2 days. I'm thinking I might bake a cake for my birthday tomorrow, if I can be bothered. I don't know if I can be bothered because it's just me here, and if I bake a cake I eat the whole damn thing all by myself. So not a good deal, not even when it's your birthday. So, but anyway, we'll see how we go. I'll see how I go. Right, let us begin reading Red Rose, White Rose for 24 minutes in. So you've listened to my musings and meanderings, and seen my art and creativity and all that jazz. All that jazz, babies. Bye, Crow family. Do you like how they went meh, 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 and said goodbye and then flew off? They really are delightful. Right, so his mother's arranged him to get married because she didn't approve of him having an affair with a married woman, as mothers tend to not be too happy about, understandably so. And he's broken up with his mistress, and his mother's introduced him to Miss Meng Yan Li. They met first in someone's living room. Yan Li was standing by a glass door wearing a silk shift with ruddy orange stripes on a grey background. Zhen Bao's immediate impression, however, was of a vague, enveloping whiteness. Yan Li was tall and slender, like a single straight line, unlike my arthritic finger. Well, the intention was there. Straight line. Use the straight finger. The only hint of a twist or turn came at the tips of her girlish breasts and the jutting bones of her hips. When a breeze stirred and her dress swept out behind her, it made her look thin and frail. Her face was soft and very pretty, and yet the main effect was whiteness. Yan Li's father had died, and her family's fortunes had gone into decline. But at one time, they had been a wealthy merchant family, so the two of them had similar backgrounds. The young lady was 22 years old and would soon be graduating from college. I'm going to put this ring on this finger just because it's crooked and the ring makes it look even more crooked, but if you're going to be bent out of shape over something with freaking rheumatoid arthritis or whatever version of arthritis I've actually got, I don't even know. Osteo probably, since the bone shoved itself out. You might as well flaunt it. You've got it, flaunt it, babies. Oh, Tiny Aarons, you're so sexy. I'm glad you think so. Do you like how I pep myself up? You have to laugh. It's funny. I find it funny. Right, here we go. Her college wasn't a very good one, just the best she could get into. But Yan Li was a good student in a mediocre place. She studied hard and didn't associate much with her classmates. Her whiteness, like a portable hospital screen, separated her from the bad things in her environment. It also separated her from the things in her books. For 10 years now, Yan Li had gone to school, diligently looking up new words, memorizing charts, copying from the blackboard. But between her and everything else, there always seemed to be a white membrane. In middle school, she'd received letters from some boys, the elder brothers of her classmates for the most part. When her family found out about it, they told her not to get involved with people like that. Yan Li had never written back. Zhen Bao planned to marry her in 2 months after her graduation. During this time, he took her out to the movies a few times. Yan Li rarely spoke or raised her head, and always walked a little behind him. She knew very well that, according to modern etiquette, she should walk in front, let him help her put on her coat and wait on her. But she was uncomfortable exercising her new rights. She hesitated, and this made her seem even slower and more awkward. Jean Bell himself wasn't a natural-born gentleman, but he had worked hard to learn the part. He took the matter seriously and thought Yan Li quite remiss in this regard. Fortunately, a shy, shrinking manner in a young girl is not too unpleasant. The engagement was short, and secretly Yan Li was very disappointed. She'd always heard that these were the best days of one's life. Even so, she was very happy when the wedding day arrived. That morning, combing her hair while still half asleep, she lifted her arms up, looked in the mirror, and felt a strange sense of invigoration, as if she'd been crammed into a glass test tube and was now pushing her head up to pop the lid off, ready to leap from the present into future. The present was good, but the future would be better. Yan Li stretched her arms out of the window of the future, and a vast wind blew through her hair. Hello, little Bobo. He's looking at me like, what are you doing, Mama T? I'm letting the wind blow through my hair, Bo. You and I have got something in common now. You've got grey feathers and I've got grey feathers. Oh, we are simpatico. He says, yes, Mama T, but you can't fly. Mama T flies. I'm a shaman. I fly every day in my imagination. I'm flying to you right now. Put me under anaesthetic and grind down deep into my bones and watch me fly all the way to Nirvana and Kurt Cobain. You know, I had a little song gifted to me this morning when I was going on one of my rants on Facebook that gets shared to Instagram. The song was, because my spirit people have got a delightful sense of cosmic timing and humour. They really are very funny. So in the midst of my ranting about the Ethicon and the Sadler administrators, sadist saddlers I called them, even their name has sad in it. I mean, you have to laugh. You couldn't make it up, could you? Anyway, I was banging on about that, and in the midst of that, I heard the song I'm on Fire by Bruce Springsteen, and I was like, yeah, baby, I must be getting better with my jawbones because I'm back on fire, fighting the ignominy and the foulness of this corporate governmental capital MENTAL, greedy, corrupt, anti-humanist nanobot world. So I was on fire, babies, fire. Not the burning ring of fire, because my ass is class, but you know, the other one. How does it go? Hey, little girl, is your daddy home? Did he leave you all alone? Did he leave you here all alone? Something like that. You got a big desire Ooh, I'm on fire. Not if I keep singing like that, you won't be. But anyway, I just saw the funny side of it. That was a line that was gifted me. I was like, yes, little one, that is me fighting before all the gods and then being very amused by the whole process. Of course, it gets me nowhere, you know. Just means I'll be tortured the next opportunity they get near my teeth or any other body parts, or emotionally tortured like they did for the last whirly gig. But you know, what can I say? Mama T never cedes, never quits, never yields to abusers. They had to knock me just about out of my skull with that dreadful agony with my jawbone. And who comes to save me? Nirvana. Perfect, isn't it? It's just perfect. Well, my spirit people like hard rock and roll and good, soul-nourishing, inspiring music. I remember the time a few years ago, 2022, I was deathly ill. It wasn't COVID, but I'd been ill for 2 years with a bronchitis that my GP refused to give me antibiotics for because she's evil. That's why I fired her after that. You evil fucking creature. So anyway, I was sitting here in my garden thinking, not for the first or the last time, that I might actually die. I was that weak. I was having to hold onto all the walls to get up and down the stairs and get around the house and hang out washing. As usual, I was pushing myself too hard, but I knew I was in dire straits and real trouble. And I lay on the grass over here, and my neighbours all stared at me. I don't know what they thought I was doing, but I was just thought, I'm going to die. If I'm going to die, I'm going to die lying in the grass, as close to nature as I possibly can get, and just let it all roll over me. Anyway, I lay there for about an hour or so, and then I got up, I think, because I needed to pee or something, needed a drink or some stupid reason. Anyway, it came to me, my spirit people said, play Tuvan throat singing, which is shamanic type music, you know, from the Tuvans. And I was like, why would I play that? Just do as you're told. And I don't argue when my spirit people order me around, especially when I'm deathly ill. So I thought, can't hurt, you know. So I put on Spotify. I had all the Tuvan throat singing, and it was all grinding right down low into your gut, into your solar plexus, and I was growling and grinding down along with the music, and I thought, yes, this is very healing and cathartic. And then Spotify threw up quite randomly after that Norse music from the ancient Viking peoples, you know, the seagoing conquerors. And again, it was not quite the same as throat singing, but it was all very low, almost growling type warrior music. So I listened to that, and I cleaned all the black mould off my bedroom, even though I was deathly ill, because I thought, I'm not going to heal if I've got mould in my bedroom. It's probably what caused me to be so deathly sick. So I scrubbed all the walls, even though I was struggling even to stand up. And then when I finished all of that, I'd listen to all the music, which gave me the, I don't know, extra spiritual strength to scrub all the walls. When I finished all of that, I went to bed and I slept for a while. And the next day, I was a little bit better. And the day after that, and the day after that. And then a wonderful man here on YouTube that don't know if he still does come to my channel, but at that point in time, he was coming to my channel and he could see that I was deathly ill, really struggling. he suggested on my YouTube channel in the comment section that I drink Marlene tea, and that will drive all the crap off my lungs. And do you know, it worked. And ever since, as soon as I get like a asthmatic bronchitis, funny bloody turn or something coming on, I drink the Marlene tea, and I don't get, I might get sniffles or a little bit sick if it was something like that was allergy related or, but I don't get as deathly ill as I did back then. And so if you're still watching my videos, Jim Carrington, if you're out there somewhere, he lives in America, you, sir, saved my life more than any of my so-called accredited medical doctors with years of experience and training behind them, the big pharma fucking indoctrination. You saved my life, and I would be more grateful if my life had actually gotten a lot better, but bit by bit, moment by moment, I'm healing. And the difficult thing now that I'm struggling with is, the toothy situation. But I'm hopeful, because I'm Pollyanna and live in Titania's realm with the fairies. I'm hopeful that once all that infection and pain and inflammation is gone, I'll keep getting stronger and healthier. Given that I'm 61 tomorrow, I'll have to get back to going for walks because I haven't had the energy or motivation to do that. And the last few days I worked so hard on those creative projects, I didn't feel like walking. But at night, last night, 4 o'clock in the morning, I felt like going for a walk, and I thought, I can't go walking around in 4 o'clock in the morning in the dark, roaming around the neighbourhood, setting all the dogs off. It's just mad. But I had this extra energy just go through me like I was on fire. So spiritual, it's spiritual, people of Earth. Right, let us carry on with the story. Jean Bell planned to marry her. Oh no, we've read that. The vast wind blowing through her hair. That's right, that's where we broke off. The wedding was at Yi Pin Jiang restaurant, with the banquet at Dongxing restaurant. Dongxing, probably pronouncing it wrong. So if you're Chinese, please forgive me. I'll just grab some more water. Don't know where the water bottle went. Oh, right. Jean Bao liked to make a good impression, but he was also careful with money. Good enough was good enough for him. Just sensible. Got to be careful with your money, especially when it's a limited resource. People of Earth. But yes, I got the idea to buy that cribbage board because I thought it's a clever idea, and then I'll have all my little drill bits and polishing discs and cutting little bits all in one spot. I can just grab it quickly and know where it is and have it all together. I'm happy like a child about that. Oh, sweet, isn't it? Need a hug and $20 million. If I had $20 million, I'd be happy like a child every day. But $20 million does not fix, the mess that our world is in. It just helps you escape it all by travelling everywhere, I guess. Oh well. As my mother used to say, que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. She screwed me out of my rightful inheritance even when I was 14 years old. We'll try not to think about that. My family land is now a bunker for some multi-millionaire in Waiheke Island. Anyway, you kind of have to laugh. Zhen Bao liked to make a good impression, but he was also careful with money. He rented a new house not far from his office and had his mother come from Jiangwan to live with them. He spent most of his earnings on work-related socialising, so the household budget was very tight. His mother and Yan Li got along fairly well, but Zhen Bao had many complaints about Yan Li, and no one to tell them to. Yan Li didn't like exercise, even. The best sort of indoor exercise had no appeal for her. Zhen Bao made a real effort to be a good husband and help her like it, but he didn't feel much physical attraction. At first she seemed cute, one undeveloped breast nestling in his hand like a sleeping bird with its own lightly beating heart, its sharp beak pecking at his palm, firm yet without strength. But then his hand had also lost its strength. Later on, even this little bit of girlish beauty was gone. Gradually, Yan Li settled into her new environment, and as she did, she turned into a very dull wife. He kind of deserves that though, after he treated that last love. I know she was married and felt terrible about it, but he really treated her very badly. He deserves all the misery in the world, quite frankly. You treat people badly, calm as a bitch, babies. Gotta love it when you see it play out too. You really do. Zhen Bao started going to prostitutes. That's nice, says Mama T. Once every 3 weeks, his life was, in every respect, well regulated. Who are you grousing at? Are you being a good birdie boy, Kermie? Oh my goodness, running up and down all agitated. Yes, you're a beautiful boy. You don't go to prostitutes, do you, little Kermie boy? He said, well, Mama, I would if I could. Don't think we have prostitutes in the birdie realm, though. Some of us birdies mate for life, and some of us don't mate at all. Oh, never mind. Try not to think about that. You're my beautiful boy, though. You're such a good bird. He's a good bird. Yeah, good birdie. Talks back now. Good birdie boy. Right, where were we? Oh, yes, his life was well regulated. He and some friends would take rooms in a hotel and call in the women. They'd tell their families they'd gone to Suzhou and Hangzhou on business. Hangzhou, Shanghai, Hangzhou. All right, I've decided. It's a hang, not a hung. Unless you're well hung, but never mind. Be good, Mama T. I'll try to. He wasn't particular about faces. Are you picking on my little bow? Okay, you're not. Okay. He wasn't particular about faces, but he liked girls who were dark and a little bit plump. He wanted them fleshy and ashamed, which was his way of taking revenge on Rose and Wang Jiaorui, though he wouldn't let himself view it that way. If such a thing did enter his mind, he immediately reproached himself for desecrating treasured memories. For these two lovers, he reserved a sensitive spot, a sacred corner of his heart. Wang, Jiaorui and Rose gradually became so mixed up in his mind that they became one. A naive, passionate girl who had doted on him, a girl with no brains or anything to cause him any trouble, although he, with his self-denying logic and steely, superhuman will, had left her. Yan Li had no idea about the prostitutes. She loved him simply because he, amongst so many others, happened to be her man. She was always saying things like, "Wait and ask Zhen Bao about it," or "Better take an umbrella, Zhen Bao said it's going to rain." Zhen Bao was her god, and assuming that role was no problem for him. When Yan Li made a mistake, he'd reprimand her in front of other people. And if something escaped his attention, it never failed to escape his mother's. Each time she was scolded in front of the maidservant, Yan Li could feel her authority crumbling away beneath her. When her orders weren't carried out, she was again to blame. She hated the disdain in the servants' eyes, and in dealing with them she protected herself by knitting her eyebrows and pouting before she even spoke, her whole face a study in childish chagrin. When she threw a tantrum, she always seemed to be talking back, like a maid or concubine who has grown used to occupying the bottom rung. The only time Yan Li managed to be mistress of the house, for a few days at least, was when the servants were new, so she liked getting new servants as often as she could. Zhen Bao's mother told everyone that her daughter-in-law was useless. Poor Zhen Bao, working so hard at his job to support the family, but when he comes home, he's pestered with all sort of domestic details. He can't get a moment's peace. Her words got around to Yan Li, and the anger built up in her heart. She grew angrier and angrier, and then she had a child. The delivery was difficult. Yan Li felt she had earned the right to throw a fit, but the child was a girl, and Yan Li's mother-in-law had no intention of humouring her. Soon they were irritated with each other all the time. Fortunately, Zhen Bao played peacemaker, and the embarrassment of a direct confrontation was avoided. But his mother sullenly insisted on moving back to Jiangwang. Zhen Bao was very disappointed in his wife. Having married her for her tractability, he felt cheated. He was also unhappy with his mother moving out like that and letting people say he wasn't a good son. He was still busy, but gradually he succumbed to fatigue. Even the smiling wrinkles of his suit looked tired. When Du Bao graduated, Zhen Bao, in his role as talent scout, found his brother a job at the factory. But Du Bao didn't live up to his potential. Overshadowed by his older brother, he became a loafer without ambition. He was still single and quite content to live in a dormitory. One morning, Du Bao showed up at Zhen Bao's place with a question. The assistant manager of the factory would soon be returning to his home country, and everyone had contributed towards a gift, which it was Du Bao's job to purchase. Zhen Bao advised him to go to a department store and see what sort of silver items they had. The two brothers left the house together and caught the same bus. Zhen Bao sat down next to a woman who, without a glance, picked up the child beside her and put him on her lap. Zhen Bao didn't pay any attention, but Du Bao, sitting across the aisle, gasped in surprise. Lifting himself in his seat, he signalled to Zhen Bao with his head. Only then did Zhen Bao recognise Jiao Rui. She was plumper than before, though certainly not paunchy, as she'd once feared would happen to her. She looked tired, but she was carefully made up, and the pendants of her earrings were gold-coloured Burmese Buddha heads. Jiao Rui was middle-aged now, and her beauty had turned to plain good looks. "Mrs. Zhu," said Du Bao, smiling. "It's been a long time." Zhen Bao remembered hearing that she had remarried, that she was now Mrs. Zhu. Jiao Rui smiled back. "Yes, it really has been a long time," she said. Zhen Bao nodded. "How have you been?" he asked. "Just fine, thank you." "Have you been in Shanghai all this time?" Du Bao asked. Jiao Rui nodded. "It seems a bit early in the morning for running errands," he continued. "It certainly is," Jiao Rui said. She put her hand on the child's shoulder. "I'm taking him to the dentist. He got a toothache yesterday. Kept me up all night with his fussing, and now I've got to take him in early." "Which is your stop?" asked Du Bao. "The dentist's office is on the Bund. Are you two going to the office?" "He is," said Du Bao, "but I've got to do some shopping." "Is everything still the same at the factory?" asked Jiao Rui. "No big changes?" "Hilton is going back. Now Zhen Bao will be the assistant manager." "Oh my, that's wonderful." Du Bao never talked this much when his older brother was present. Zhen Bao could tell that Du Bao felt it incumbent on him, under the circumstances, to do the talking, which meant he must know all about their affair. Du Bao got off at the next stop. Zhen Bao was silent for a while. He didn't look at Jiao Rui. "Well, and how are you?" he asked the empty air. Jiao Rui was silent, but after a pause she said, "Just fine." Same question and same answer as before, but now they had an entirely different meaning. This Mr. Zhu, do you love him? Zhao Rui nodded. Then she answered. Her words, sorry, when, she answered. Her words were interrupted by pauses. Starting with you, I learned how to love, to really love. Love is good. Even though I have suffered, I still want to love, and so Zhen Bao rolled up the square collar of her son's sailor outfit. You're very happy, he said in a low voice. Zhao Rui laughed. I had to forge ahead somehow. When I ran into something, well, that was it. What you run into is always a man, Zhen Bao said with a cold smile. Zhao Rui wasn't angry. She tilted her head to one side and thought about it. True, she said. When I was young and pretty, I always ran into men. That simply would have happened no matter what I did. Once my social life started. But now there are other things besides men. Always other things. Zhen Bao stared at her, unaware that his heart at that moment was aching with jealousy. And you? Asked Zhao Rui. How are you? Zhen Bao wanted to sum up his perfectly happy life in a few simple words. But as he was trying to find them, he looked up and saw his face in the small mirror on the bus driver's right. I have to make these rings bigger. Put on weight, my rings are tight. Oh, poor Mama T. I have the ability to make rings bigger now. Just can't be asked. Right. It's funny, certain fingers hurt more than others. It's a bit odd. Connected to all my meridians, no doubt. I feel like something yummy to eat. I wonder what I could have. Been very hungry lately. It's like having some kind of entity grabbing the pit of my stomach and reaching up, demanding food, like I did when I was a baby. It's very primal. It's probably connected to the toothy pain. Mama T's gone primal in her old age. Oh, not primal enough to have sex, people of Earth. Drawing the line at that. Saving myself for a man who adores me. Might never happen, but waited this long, I guess I can wait until I die. A man that adores me might be on the other side of the veil too. Could be a short time, could be a long time, but in the meantime, we wait for Godot, who never arrives, people of Earth. Baby, baby, baby. But don't worry, I'm on fire. Oh, you have to laugh. Right, anyway, where were we? He saw his face in the small mirror on the bus driver's right. He knew his face was steady and calm, and yet the vibration of the bus made his face vibrate too. A strange, calm, regular vibration, almost as if his face was being gently massaged. All at once, Jean Bao's face really did begin to quiver. In the mirror, he saw tears streaming down. He didn't know why. Shouldn't she have been the one to weep? It was all wrong, and yet he couldn't stop. She should be weeping. He should be comforting her. Do you like how the sunlight's streaming like a gigantic crystal all across my face? And all that prismatic colours too, like a rainbow. Ah, happy birthday from Sacred Space for the Mama Tea. It's a day early, but we'll take the blessings when they arrive, won't we? It's just kind of magical. It's science, says my friend Peter Lawrence. Yes, it is indeed science. But science can be magical. Look. I hide behind it. My face is a prismatic colour scheme of pinks and greens and yellows and blues and purples. Thank you to my angels that bring sunshine and joy and delight and magic into my world. Crazy as crazy does, people of Earth. You've got to take the beautiful life when it's on offer, because it's often short-lived. Alas and alack. Who's here? Who's here? Oh, Kermie, the lorikeets are here. Your friends the lorikeets are here. I can hear them. I can't see them, but I can hear them. And the crows just flew in too to compete for the seeds, probably. Oh, there's 4 crows today. Oh no, 2 turkeys and 2 crows. And some very happy lorikeets. Hello, lorikeets. Right. She should be weeping. He should be comforting her. But Jowrie didn't comfort him. She sat silently for a long time. Then she asked, "Is this your stop?" He got off the bus and went to work as usual. It was Saturday, so they had the afternoon off. He went home at 12:30. He had a small Western-style house with a big imposing wall out front. But then all the houses in the area, row after row of them, looked exactly the same. Grey cement walls, as smooth, shiny and rectangular as coffins. Oh, I'd hate living like that. With flowering oleanders sticking up over the top. At least they had the oleanders to break up the ugliness. Oh, yes, no, there are 3 crows. Mummy, Daddy and Baby Bird. He's a teenager now. A demanding teenager still getting fed down his throat by his mother. You dote on him too much. He'll never survive without you. You're like a Jewish mother. You've created a pest. Ask me how I know. I was married to a mama's boy. Dear goddess. Anyway, we won't think about that. We won't think about that. It's not just Jewish mothers that create pests, by the way. Right. Some mothers do have them. Right. The courtyard inside was small, but it counted as a garden. Everything a home should have, his had. Small white clouds. Oh, by the way, I'm not just being down on Mummy's boys. It is a very fine quality for a man who actually reveres and respects and treats his mother with kindness. How a man treats his mother is how he's likely to treat his wife. My husband did not treat his mother very kindly, and it was a slippery slope from then on in. It didn't help that, ironically, I looked a lot like her too, except she had darker hair than I am. But still, marry your mother and then treat her badly like your mother. It's appalling, isn't it? It's bloody appalling. Anyway. Happy days, people of Earth. But I do like men who are respectful and kind to their mothers, because it shows a lot. It shows a lot when a man's kind to, the matriarchy and womanhood in general. Shows a lot of couth and a lot of class and a very good personality and good culture and respect. And never really had a man that really loved his mother in a totally respectful, honouring way. So all my relationships went very, very bad. Oh, poor Mama T. So I'm going to watch Mama Crow feed baby Crow, who's like 25, and keep him in perpetual childhood, or her, and watch the whole dynamic go to hell in a handbasket. I wonder if it's the same problem as for crows as it is for people. They're highly intelligent birds, They're very spiritual, very attenuated. You coming to say hello to the mama? What have you got? Ooh, a sunflower seed. Running away with the sunflower seed in his beak. You are a handsome birdie. And now you've got to fight the turkey to get your food. He loves his seeds. He eats all of it. He's a greedy turkey. But it's okay. I have to go on payday on Tuesday, go down and buy another sack of seeds because we're halfway through. And it won't take long before I run out. Who's the pretty birdie boys? The handsome boys. Yes, Kermie, you're my handsome boy too. Bo's my handsome boy 3. Happy little family sitting in our garden, drifting. I know, people of Earth, I haven't forgotten you. I'm back in the room, back in the garden. Here we go. Everything a home should have has had. Small white clouds floated in the blue sky above, and on the street a flute vendor was playing the flute, a sharp, soft, sinuous oriental tune that twisted and turned in the ear like embroidery, like a picture of a dream in a novel, a trail of white mist coming out from under the bed curtain and unfurling all sorts of images, slowly uncoiling like a lazy snake, till finally the drowsiness is just too great, and even the dream falls asleep. The house was perfectly quiet when Zhen Bao walked in. His 7-year-old daughter, Hui Ying, was still at school. I think that's how you pronounce it. The maidservant had gone to fetch her. Zhen Bao didn't want to wait. He told Yan Li to go ahead and put the food on the table. He wolfed it down as if to fill the emptiness in his heart with food. After eating, he phoned Du Bao to ask him how the shopping had gone. Du Bao explained that he'd looked at several pieces of silver, but none had been suitable. "I have a pair of silver vases here," said Zhen Bao. "Someone gave them to us as wedding gifts. take them to a shop and have them re-engraved. That should take care of it. You can return the money you've collected. It'll be my contribution." Du Bao agreed, and Zhen Bao said, Perhaps you should come and get them now." He was anxious to see Du Bao and find out his reaction to seeing Jiao Ri that morning. The whole scene had been so nonsensical, and his own response so absurd, that Zhen Bao almost wondered if it had really happened. Du Bao came, and Zhen Bao casually brought the conversation round to Jiao Ri. Du Bao tapped his cigarette like a man of experience. "She's gotten old, really old," which apparently meant for a woman that she was finished. We'll see about that, baby girls and baby boys. The Mama Tea has only just begun. Begun what? I don't know. Viva la revolution. That's all I've got to say about that. In my mind, it's all happening in my mind. A revolution to evolution to convolution and permutations and solutions and consolations and revelations and perturbations and whatever consummation with the right man who adores me. We'll stick to that fairy tale. Never came true, but I'm used to it now. Won't give it up now. In the beginning are our endings, and in our endings are our beginnings. The circle of life, people of Earth. If my stupid mother could get Alzheimer's and marry again at 73, there's hope for me yet, kids. Although I've got no intention of going mad so I can have just any man. That, my friends, is a very, very insidious form of desperation. It really is. Didn't work out all that well for my mother in the end anyway, did it? He upped and died, and she got shoveled into the Alzheimer's high care facility so those bastards could take her house and most of her money. Evil it was. So there's a certain freedom in being poor and circumspect and wise and giving out zero fucks, people of Earth. Don't gain anything, don't lose anything either. Just stay in quiet homeostasis, spitting teeth like chips. Oh, well, it's funny when you think about it. I mean, it really is kind of hilarious. I want to cry, but it's kind of hilarious. I'll laugh about it one day. Come as you are, as a friend, as I hoped you might be. Hurry up and take your time. The choice is yours. Don't be late. Right, here we go, people of Earth. Carrying on with the story. Du Bao came. Oh no, we read that part. Which meant for a woman that she was finished, getting old. Zhen Bao, didn't occur to him that he's gotten old too, of course, because men in their arrogant, egotistical ways, with their shiny leg syndrome, their bald pates and paunchy fat bellies and their BO and other attributes that are not very desirable. Ugh. Anyway, where was I? Being an anti-government revolutionary. Not just my government, but the global governments, because they're all responsible. Right. How does that help me? Puts me in a very dangerous, fraught, precarious position. Meanwhile, birds, sunshine, gardens, sacred space, and stories on YouTube. On we go. Zhen Bao reviewed the scene that morning. Yes, she had grown old, but even this he envied. He looked at his wife. 8 years of marriage. Oh my goodness! The Karawang and the little Indian miners are fighting above my head. 8 years of marriage, and still no trace of experience. She was hollow, spotless. She always would be. He told Yan Li, to wrap up the 2 silver vases on the mantelpiece and give them to Du Bao. She scrambled around to find a chair, removed the cushion, stood on the chair, got some newspaper from the top of the cupboard, went back to the drawer for some string, found a string that was too short, wrapped up the vases and made a complete mess of it, even ripping the paper into pieces. Zhen Bao watched the whole thing with growing irritation. All at once he strode over and grabbed the vases from her. He groaned loudly. When a person's stupid, everything's a trial. Yan Li's face flushed with resentment, like a slave girl's. But then she smiled and laughed, glancing quickly at Du Bao to see if he was laughing too, afraid that he might not have caught her husband's joke. She stood to one side with her arms folded while Zhen Bao wrapped up the silver vases. Her features were strangely clouded, as if a white membrane had been stretched across her face. Du Bao was getting fidgety. At their house, friends and relatives often got fidgety. He wanted to leave, anxious to make up for the faux pas. Yan Li rallied. She pressed him warmly to say, "If you aren't busy." She fawned and smiled, her eyes narrowing, her nose wrinkling flirtatiously. She often surprised people with such an unexpected intimacy. If Du Bao had been a woman, she would have taken his hand in her own moist palm and held on desperately, imposing herself in a way that was sure to prove distasteful. Du Bao said he really must go. At the door, he ran into the old maidservant bringing Hui Ying back. Du Bao took some gum from his trousers pocket and gave it to the girl. "Say thank you, uncle," Yan Li chimed in. Hui Ying dodged away. "Ha, so you're embarrassed," Du Bao laughed. Hui Ying flipped her Western-style skirt to hide her face, showing her underwear. "Now you should be really embarrassed," Yan Li cried out. Hui Ying grabbed the gum, flipped the skirt over her face again, and ran away laughing. Zhen Bao sat watching his daughter with her thin, yellow, prancing, hands and feet. Before, this child had not existed. He had summoned her out of thin air. Zhenbao went upstairs to wash his face. Downstairs, Yan Li turned on the radio to listen to the news. Zhenbao thought it was a good idea for Yan Li to listen to the news, part of a modern woman's education. Perhaps she'd even pick up a phrase or two of Mandarin. He didn't know that Yan Li listened to the radio just to hear a human voice. Zhenbao looked out of the window. The sky was blue and the clouds were white. The oleander was blooming in the courtyard and the flute was still playing in the street, as sharp and wheedling as the voice of a low-class woman. It wasn't a very good flute. The notes were shrill and hurt his ears. Here, on this lovely spring afternoon, Zhenbao looked around at the world he had made. There was no way to destroy it. The quiet house was filled with sunlight. Downstairs, a man's confident voice came over the radio, droning on and on. From the moment Zhenbao got married, he'd been convinced that everyone around him, starting with his mother, should be patting him on the back and offering him encouragement. His mother knew how much he'd sacrificed, but he felt that even those who didn't know all the details owed him respect, owed him a little sympathy and compensation. As a result, people often did make a point of praising him, though never enough, while Zhenbao devoted himself to doing all sorts of good deeds. What you doing, little Kermie boy? Are you doing a good deed? He says, I'm being a birdie, Mummy. It's as good as it gets. Things he'd take upon himself without even being asked. He paid off some debts for Du Bao, found him a wife, set him up in a house with his family. His sister was a particular problem. This made him especially considerate toward unmarried or widowed friends. He got them jobs, money. There was nothing he wouldn't do. He spent a lot of time and effort obtaining a position for his sister at a school in the interior, because he'd heard that the male teachers there were all recent university graduates, every one of them unmarried. But his sister wasn't cut out for hardship. She threw a fit and came running back to Shanghai, not even finishing out her half-year contract. His mother sympathized with her daughter and criticized Zhenbao for being hasty. Yan Li watched all this from the sidelines. It made her very angry on Zhenbao's behalf, and she complained to others whenever she could. But Yan Li rarely saw anyone. Lacking a lively, sociable lady of the house, Zhenbao felt it was better to take people out, even if it did cost more. He never brought people home. But on those rare occasions when a friend came looking for Zhenbao, and found that he wasn't in. Yan Li proved an attentive hostess. She'd treat the guests like the closest of friends, freely discussing Zhen Bao. Zhen Bao always gets the short end of the stick. He's so good to people, so sincere, and then he's the one who suffers. Ah, but that's how it is, isn't it, Mr. Zhang? Sincerity doesn't get you anywhere nowadays. Even his own sister and brother are ungrateful, not to mention the friends who come around only when they want something. And they're all like that. I've seen it all, and Zhen Bao won't change his ways, not one bit, even though he's the one who suffers each and every time. A good man has no place in our world today. That's how it is, isn't it, Mr. Zhang? The friend would feel that soon he too would be numbered among the ungrateful, and a chill would creep into his heart. None of Zhen Bao's friends liked Yan Li, even though she was pretty, quiet, and refined, just the wife of someone else, a perfect backdrop for men busily engaged in vigorous, freewheeling conversation. Yan Li had no women friends of her own, so she had no chance to compare her life with others and find out how low she'd fallen in her own household. Zhen Bao didn't encourage her to interact with other married women because he knew that she wasn't up to it. Placed in an unfamiliar situation, she would just reveal all her weaknesses and encourage gossip. He forgave her for telling people he was unappreciated because a woman's perspective is always limited. Anyway, she was protecting him. She hated to see him exploited. But when she made similar comments to the old maidservant, Zhen Bao's temper got the better of him and he intervened. Then there was the time he heard Yan Li complaining to 8-year-old Hui Ying. He didn't say anything about it, but not long after, he sent Hui Ying off to boarding school. The house grew even quieter. Yan Li began to suffer from constipation. She sat in the bathroom for several hours each day. That was the only place where it was all right to do nothing, say nothing, think nothing. The rest of the time she also did nothing, said nothing, and thought nothing. But she always felt a little uneasy about it. Only in the day-lit bathroom could she settle down and feel rooted. Doesn't have the same meaning as it does here in Australia, people of Earth. I mean, grounded. Yan Li bent her head and stared at her own snow-white stomach, that stretch of pure gleaming white. Sometimes she stuck it out. Sometimes she sucked it in. Her navel also changed its appearance. Now it was the eye of a Greek statue, sweet, clean, expressionless, while the next instant it protruded angrily like the eye of a pagan god, an eye with an evil little smile, but adorable even so, with crow's feet tucked away in the corners. Zhen Bao took Yan Li to the doctor and bought her medicine as recommended by newspaper advertisements. That would be antidepressants, no doubt. So good for you. Not! She's better just stick to navel gazing. Anywho, I'm making an assumption here. Could have been any kind of medicine. Gain of function. Biolab comes to mind, but never mind. It's predated that time period for some years, I would think. Eventually, however, he decided that she wasn't all that concerned. She seemed to want to hang on to her little ailment as if it contributed to her importance. He stopped worrying about it. One day he had a business lunch. It was the plum rain season, and before he left the office, the rain started. He hailed a rickshaw and went around to his house to fetch his raincoat. On the way, he couldn't help remembering that other time when he was living at Jowree's place, when the weather had changed and he dashed back in the rain to get his raincoat that very memorable day. He climbed out of the rickshaw and went in the front door, wrapped in the faint melancholy of his memories. But when he looked, he saw that the raincoat wasn't in the closet. His heart thumped hard, and it seemed that events of a decade ago had come to life again. He walked toward the living room, his heart still pounding. He had a strange sense of destiny. His hand was on the doorknob to the living room. He opened it, and Jan Lee was in the room, along with a tailor who was standing at the end of the sofa. Everything was as usual, and Zhen Bao relaxed. Then suddenly he grew tense again. He felt nervous, no doubt because the two other people in the room were nervous too. "Are you having lunch at home?" Jan Lee asked. "No, I came back for my raincoat." He looked at the tailor's bundle on the chair. Not a trace of moisture on it. It had been raining steadily for at least an hour. The tailor wasn't wearing galoshes. The tailor, when Zhen Bao looked at him, seemed a little shaken. He went over to his bundle, pulled out a measuring tape, and started to take Jan Lee's measurements. Jan Lee's hand gestured weakly at Zhen Bao. She said, "Your raincoat's hanging in the kitchen hallway to dry." She looked as if she meant to push the tailor away and fetch the raincoat herself. But she didn't move. She just stood there while the tailor busied himself about her measurements. Zhen Bao knew that when you touch a woman in front of others after sleeping with her, there's a change in your manner. No mistaking it. He looked at them both with a cold, clear eye. The great white mouth of the rainy day sucked at the window. Outside was nothing but cold disarray. Inside, everything was sealed off. There was an intense intimacy between those three people enclosed in that single room. Zhen Bao stood high above it all, distantly observing the two inexperienced adulterers. He couldn't understand. How could she choose such a person? Although the tailor was young, his back was already a bit bent. His face was sallow, and there were ringworm scars on his scalp. He looked like what he was, a tailor. Zhen Bao went to get his raincoat and put it on, buttoning it up as he walked back to the living room. The tailor was gone. Don't know when I'll be back, Zhen Bao said to Yan Li. Don't wait supper. Yan Li approached him deferentially and nodded. She seemed to be upset. Her hands wandered around, finding no place to rest, but anxious to be doing something. She flipped on the radio. Time for the Mandarin news broadcast again. The voice of another man filled the room. Zhen Bao felt there was no need for him to speak. So he turned and left, still buttoning his coat. He had no idea that his coat had so many buttons. The door to the living room was wide open, and the candid, straightforward man on the radio kept on talking confidently. He was always right. Zhen Bao thought, I've been pretty good to her. I don't love her, but there's nothing I owe her an apology for. I haven't treated her badly. Such a lowly little thing. Probably she knows she's nothing. She wants to find someone even lower than she is, if only for comfort's sake. But I've been so good to her. So good. Back in the room, Yan Li must have felt less than sure of herself. She turned off the radio with a pop. Standing in the entryway, Zhen Bao suddenly felt himself choking up. If the man in the radio station, who went on discoursing so fluently, had sensed that his entire audience had all at once shut him off, he would have known what Zhen Bao felt. An abrupt blockage, emptiness, petrifying the gut. Zhen Bao stood on the front steps of his house, facing the rainy street, until a rickshaw came by looking for customers. He got in without bothering to haggle over the fare and was pulled away. When he came home that evening, the steps were under a foot of water. In the dark and the wet, the house looked very different, appropriately enough, he felt. But when he went indoors, the hot, stifling smell and the line of yellow lamps leading upstairs were as before. The house was still the house. Nothing had changed. At the front door, he removed his shoes and socks, which were soaked through, gave them to the maidservant, and climbed barefoot to the bedroom upstairs. He reached out to flip the switch and saw that the bathroom light was on. When he looked through the half-open door, the bathroom resembled a narrow hanging scroll in faded yellow white. The light made Yan Li her own faded yellow colour. But never in dynastic history has a painting of a pretty woman taken up such an awkward subject. Yan Li was pulling up her pants. She was bent over, about to stand up, and her hair hung down over her face. She had already changed into her flowered white pyjama top, which was bunched high up on her chest, half caught under her chin. The pin-up pyjama pants lay piled around her feet, and her long body wavered over them like a white silkworm. In America, the scene would have made an excellent toilet paper advertisement, but to Zhen Bao's hasty glance, it was household filth, like a matted wad of hair on a rainy day, damp and giving off a stagnant, stifling human scent. He turned the light on in the bedroom. When Yan Li saw that he had returned, she hurriedly asked, "Did you get your feet wet?" "I'm going to soak them right away," Zhen Bao responded. "I'll be right out," said Yan Li. "I'll tell Ama Yu to go heat some water." "She's doing it now." Yan Li washed her hands and came out, and Ama Yu brought the kettle up. Zhen Bao sneezed. "You've caught a cold," said Ama Yu. "Don't you want to close the door?" Zhen Bao closed the door and was alone in the bathroom. The rain still falling hard, clattering on the window panes. There was some sort of potted plant in the bathtub. It had flowers of a tender yellow, and even though it hadn't been out in the rain, it smelled as if it had been. The foot basin was next to the flower pot, and Zhen Bao sat on the edge of the bathtub, bending over to wash his feet. Why am I washing my face? Wash his feet, not his face. Careful not to splash hot water on the flowers. When he bent his head, he caught a whiff of a light, clean scent. He put one leg over the other knee, carefully wiped each toe dry with a towel, and suddenly was overcome with tenderness for himself. He looked at his own flesh, and it was as if someone was doing the looking, a lover full of grief because Zhen Bao was throwing himself away for nothing. He shuffled on some slippers and stood at the window looking out. The rain had already tapered off and was gradually coming to a stop. The street was now a river, mirrored in the waves. The street lamps were like a string of silver arrowheads that shot by, then disappeared. Vehicles thumped past, and behind each one, a brilliant white wake unfurled like a peacock's tail, washing across the reflections of the street lamps. Slowly the white peacock's tail sent out golden stars, then lengthened and faded away. When the vehicle was gone, the white gold arrowheads returned, shooting across the turbid yellow river and disappearing, shooting by, then gone. Oh, did I read that already? Mama too's getting tired. Right, we're not far from completion, people of Earth. Bear with me and I'll carry on like a little champion as I do. Pressing his hand against the window pane, Zhen Bao was keenly aware of his own hand, his own breath, deeply grieving. He thought of the bottle of brandy in the cabinet. He got it down, poured himself a full glass, and stood looking out the window as he sipped. Yan Li walked up behind him and said, "That's a good idea, having a glass of brandy to warm your stomach, otherwise you'll catch a cold." The warm brandy went straight to his head. His eyes grew hard and hot. He turned and looked at her with loathing. He hated that kind of tedious, polite small talk, and what he especially hated was this, that she seemed to be peering at him behind his back, trying to find out how much he knew. In the following 2 weeks, Yan Li kept peering. Apparently she felt that he hadn't changed in any way, that he wasn't suspicious of her. And in time, she relaxed and forgot that she'd had something to hide. Zhen Bao was befuddled. Now it seemed that she didn't have a secret after all. It was like 2 white doors, tightly shut, flanked by a pair of flickering lamps on a wild plain at night. You pound at them with all your might, absolutely convinced that a murder is taking place inside. But when the doors open to admit you, there's no such thing. There's not even a building. All you can see, under a few stars, is empty mist and tangled weeds. Now that was truly frightening. Zhen Bao started drinking a lot, openly consorting with women outside the house. It was not at all like before, when he retained some scruples. He came home reeking of drink, or he didn't come home at all. But Yan Li always had an excuse, saying that he had a lot of new social obligations for his company that he couldn't refuse. She would never admit that it had anything to do with her. She kept on explaining it away to herself, and when his dissipation gradually got to the point where it couldn't be concealed, she explained it away to others too, smiling slightly, loyally covering up for him. Zhen Bao was running wild, almost to the point of bringing prostitutes home with him. But everyone still thought of him as a fine, upstanding man. A good man. For a month it rained constantly. One day, the old maidservant said that Zhen Bao's woven silk shirt had shrunk in the wash and needed to be let out. Sitting on the bed with his shoes off, Zhen Bao casually remarked, "Get the tailor to come and fix it." "The tailor hasn't come in a long time," said Amo Yu. "I wonder if he's gone back to his hometown." I've got another sunshine burst like a star again. Happy birthday, Tanya Le. Hasta mañana, till we meet again. Sometimes my spirit people get on early because often my birthdays have been sabotaged and beyond awful, so the spirits like to celebrate with me, usually a week early and a week afterwards. Well, I guess I have kind of celebrated making that lovely embellishment for that wooden grimoire. Has been a celebration of sorts. Worked myself half to death, but I was driven like a wildebeest by the muse. Right. "Eh?" said Zhen Bao to himself. "Broken off as easily as that. Not a bit of real feeling. How dirty. How petty." Oh, now look here, Karawong and Kookaburra just flew in above my head. Say hello to the people of Earth, Cookie. Say Say hello to the people of Earth, Karawong. It's all very lovely, but can you not fight above my head? It was a bit, momentarily gave me a bit of a fright. Have to get along at sacred space. We have to all live in harmonic resonance or residence, both. Everyone has to be peaceful and joyful and comfortable. And if you can't get along, there's the gate. You have to fly away, slough the hell off. Hello, Karawong, you're over my right shoulder now. Are you looking after the mama-tea? Cookie's looking after the mama-tea. He really does look after me. Beautiful birdie. Beautiful birdie. And up here we have the little Indian minor birdies. Don't know what happened to the lorikeets. They've gone. They came and they went. Right. Oh, you sound like a telephone. Ring, ring. Ring, ring. Ring, ring. It's delightful, isn't it? It's really delightful. So, here we go. I've forgotten where we were. Oh yes, how dirty, how petty, running off to his ancestral homelands without a by or leave. Really, he asked, didn't he come to collect his bill at Dragon Boat Festival? His apprentice came, said Amo-Yu. This Amo-Yu had been with them for 3 years. She folded up some underpants and put them on the edge of the bed with a light pat. She didn't look at him, but the smile on her gentle old face was meant to be comforting. Zhen Bao was filled with anger. That afternoon, he took a woman out for a good time and purposely went around to his house for some money. The woman sat waiting for him in the pedicab. Crow's having a lovely swim. Happy bird. The sky had just cleared and the water on the street. Are you still there, Kookaburra? Okay. I'm going to see him face to face because he was only showing his back to us before. Smile, you're on candid camera, Cookie. You're going to smile at the people of Earth? No? He says, I am smiling. On the inside, Mama-T. Okay. However it works. The sky had just cleared and the water on the street had not yet receded. Great clumps of parasol trees shone in the yellow river. Across the street there was a bluish haze on the green trees around the little red houses. Damp yellow smoke came out of the chimneys and flew off at a low angle. Zhen Bao returned with the money, smacked his umbrella down and splashed water all over the girl. Simultaneously, Crow splashing water too. Why not? She cried out sharply. Zhen Bao climbed into the pedicab, laughing, full of wet, muddy happiness. He looked at the upstairs window. It must have been Yan Li standing there, but what he saw was a tea tray lace doily, yellowing with age, struck on the bathroom wall. Try and get my sunbeam again. Yeah, except it makes me look faded out. If we do this, we can just play with the light. Mama likes to play with the light. The light often plays with her too, sometimes in miraculous and astonishing ways. Yeah, we got it back again. He looked at the upstairs window. It must have been Jan Lee standing there. But when he's... Oh no, I read that, didn't I? No, I did. Anyway, carry on. But what he saw was a tea tray lace doily, yellowing with age, stuck on the bathroom wall. Or maybe it was a little white saucer with a tea stain splotch in the centre. Jean Bao smacked his umbrella into the water again. Break it to bits, break it to bits. The pedicab drove through the rippling water, and the water splashed the woman's clothes and her leather shoes and leather handbag. I'd be really annoyed about that. She complained, wanting him to pay for the damage. Jean Bao laughed, threw one arm around her, and kept on splashing the water. After this, even Jan Lee ran out of excuses. Jean Bao didn't bring back money for the family. His daughter's tuition went unpaid, and the daily groceries were a problem too. At that point, Jan Lee became a brave little wife. Suddenly, at the age of nearly 30, she had grown up. She spoke fluently and compellingly in tearful, eloquent complaints. However can we go on like this? It's enough to kill me. The whole family depends on him. At this rate, he'll lose his job at the factory. It's as if he's gone mad. He doesn't come home, and when he does, he hits people and smashes things up. He wasn't like this before. Oh, Mr. Liu, can you imagine? Can you tell me what I should do? How am I supposed to cope with this? All at once, Jan Lee gained self-confidence. She had social status. She had sympathy. She had friends. One night, Jean Bao came back home to find her sitting in the living room talking with Du Bao. Of course, they were discussing him, and when he appeared, she fell silent. She was dressed all in black, and though the wrinkles on her worried face were visible in the lamplight, she still had an aura of hidden beauty. Jean Bao didn't rush around smashing tables and lamps. He walked in, nodded to Du Bao, and said a few words about the weather. He lit a cigarette and sat down casually to discuss current events and the stock market. Finally, he said he was tired and would go to bed early. He took his leave of them and headed up the stairs. Jan Lee simply couldn't understand what was happening. It looked as if she'd been lying. It was all very hard to explain. After Du Bao left, Jean Bao heard Jan Lee entering the bedroom. Right when she came in the door, he swept the lamp and the hot water thermos off the little cabinet. They fell to the floor and cracked wide open, smashed to bits. He bent down and picked up the metal base of the lamp, hurling at her, electric cord and all. Turning, she fled from the room. Jean Bao felt that she had been completely defeated. He was extremely pleased with himself. He stood there laughing silently, the quiet laughter flowing out of his eyes and spilling over his face like tears. The old maidservant stood in the doorway, gaping, broom and dustpan in hand. Zhenbao turned the light off. You don't know what that means, do you, Kookaburra? You just like the sound of my voice. You're a beautiful birdie. She didn't dare enter the room. Zhenbao fell asleep on the bed, slept through to the middle of the night when mosquito bites woke him. He rose and turned on the light. A pair of Yan Li's embroidered slippers were lying in the middle of the floor at cross angles, one a bit ahead, the other a bit behind, like a ghost that was afraid to materialise. We've lost our sunlight streaming. Walking fearfully, pleadingly toward him. Zhenbao sat at the edge of the bed and stared for a long time. When he lay down again, he sighed. He could feel his old benevolent mood stealing over him, bit by bit, wrapping itself around him. Countless worries and duties and mosquitoes buzzed around him, stinging him and sucking at him. The next day, Zhenbao rose and reformed his ways. He made a fresh start and went back to being a good man. And thus concludes A Red Rose, a White Rose. And tomorrow maybe, but I'm going out in the afternoon, so I'll see how I go. Possibly not tomorrow, maybe the day after. I will be reading to you. Sorry, my nose is very itchy all of a sudden. I will be reading Fireworks by Richard Ford. How long does that story go for? Will it be 2 or 3 videos like this one was? Potentially only 1. Maybe 2. The remaining of the stories are getting short. It seems to be 2 short ones and then a long one. Almost like Morse code. People are there. Well, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. It's a lovely, not a completely lovely story. Husband going to seed and being overcome with some kind of psychotic break because of a tailor. How does it go? Tinker Tailor, Beggar Man Thief. Isn't that a book by someone? Jean Le Carré. I think I did read that as a young girl. Tinker Tailor, Beggar Man Thief. Well, on that note, beautiful, talented, magical, amazing subscribers, audience, friends, countrymen and women, likers, commenters, all entities across time and space of benevolence, love, friendship, camaraderie, respect, honour, awe, did I mention magic, and peace. Here we go, we've got the sunburst again. Put my finger into it. Got your back, got your back, got your back. Anyway, playing with tricks of light. I bid you good afternoon. Have a beautiful day, morning, afternoon, evening, night time, wherever you are. The space-time continuum. Sei gesund. Be well. Be happy. Be free. Yes. Be at peace. And sending you much love on the almost occasion of my birthday, which is tomorrow. So, Goddess bless. Look at all my little gifts from the multiverse. Cookie is still here, paying attention. Hello, Kookaburra. Hello, Kookaburra. And my birdie boys are nearly ready to go back inside the house because I bring them in the late afternoon. Don't even know what time it is. And we're all very happy birdies, aren't we, Kookaburra? Hmm? What are you shaking your beak about? Are you hungry? I've got no meat for you. There's only wild bird seeds, but you're not interested in any of that. He only eats worms and lawn grubs and other insects and little bits of meat when I have some scraps of chicken or a bit of meat to throw to him. That's why he's my friend. And we're all very happy, aren't we, Cookie? We're all very happy birdies. So, bye for now.